It's rare that we see a third-party debate and actually get issues of real substance discussed in a debate. How refreshing was it being on stage tonight talking about issues of importance?
It was wonderful, and I think the American public deserves to have this quality of debate, not as a second-class debate that only a small percentage of people actually hear about. This should be what our debates are really about. And I hope that the corporation, or rather the Commission on Presidential Debates, is watching, and I hope that they are quaking in their boots in fear that word will get out about what a real debate looks like and how incredibly empowering it is for American voters to hear about the real solutions to the problems that we're desperately facing. The American people are being thrown under the bus right now. 1 out of 2 are in poverty or low income and heading for poverty. And tonight we were able to talk about a Green New Deal that would create 25 million jobs, put an end to unemployment, and jumpstart the green economy that would put a halt to climate change and make wars for oil obsolete. These are the kinds of solutions the American public deserves to hear about, and they deserve to hear about the many voices and the many choices, because this is how people actually work through what are the best solutions. It's through this kind of debate and dialogue. This should be the norm and not the rule. And I think we should all stay on this long after this election. And I encourage people to go to my website, jillstein.org, and sign the petition to open up the Commission on Presidential Debates so that it actually includes all qualified candidates. It's only in doing that that the debates will really begin to speak to the critical problems faced by the American voters.
Yourself and Governor Johnson were the only ones to file lawsuits on the debate for presidential commissions. Were you surprised at all that your concerns weren't voiced? And what does it actually say about the Commission on Presidential Debates that excludes third-party candidates in any way possible?
It speaks volumes about the Commission. You know, I wasn't surprised. I've gone to court before. In running in Massachusetts, I've gone to court to open up debates and have found the courts, sadly, are, what shall we say, asleep at the wheel on this. The Commission on Presidential Debates is not just asleep at the wheel. I think it's fair to say they are intoxicated at the wheel with the power of money. They have been bought out. They are supported by large corporations, by Anheuser-Busch, by Philip Morris, by other large corporations that also fund the Democratic and Republican parties. They exist for the very purpose of censoring the debate. We used to have open debates when it was the League of Women Voters who ran the debates. And the commission was formed for the express purpose of saving a standing president the anxiety of having to actually debate an independent challenger. It was Jimmy Carter who didn't want to debate John Anderson back in the 70s, I believe. So this is what we deserve, it's what we used to have, and it's what everybody should be standing up to demand that we have again. This should be the norm and not the exception for debating the serious critical problems we're facing.
Finally, after the November election, if either Romney or Obama become president, what happens next to those that are disenfranchised with government, those that are upset with this one-party system, a continuity of government agenda? What do you encourage voters, independent voters, to do post-election?
You know, there's nothing that the political establishment wants more than for us dissident proponents of real democracy and justice. They want us to all be independent of each other. That is, to be 1,000 points of light, all blinking on and off by our lonesome selves. What they fear most is that we get together to actually push for the principles of independence, to push for the principles of freedom and justice and democracy and sustainability. That's their greatest fear. And I really encourage people who've become involved with our campaign to stay with it, because to really build a campaign in this era of big money politics You have to build with an election, then you have to keep building between the elections, and then you build with another election. Our democracy has been thoroughly hijacked. It is in a stranglehold. It will take real work to break it. But the good news is that more and more people are waking up. The establishment parties do not have a single exit strategy from the critical crises we are facing, whether it's the climate, whether it's the continued teetering on the brink of catastrophe that our economy continues to hover at, whether it's the skyrocketing of student debt and the indentured servant status that an entire generation is facing, the rising costs of healthcare. They don't have a single solution. They have some fake solutions that will distract people for a little while. Obamacare is one of those. I've lived with it for 5 years. It doesn't solve the crisis. It doesn't solve the skyrocketing cost. It doesn't make healthcare affordable. We need a Medicare for all system. We have real solutions that the American public are clamoring for, and people will continue to join us in pushing for those real solutions. So I encourage people to go to jillstein.org, join the campaign, and then join the party.
Economy-wise, issues about the Federal Reserve, the debt, weren't tackled in these debates. A Johnson administration, how would you tackle the Federal Reserve, $16 trillion in debt?
But as a good journalist always does, he took out the video camera and recorded everything that happened.
What's the law?
Are you going to listen, or you going to be kicked out of here and you're going to piss me off?
No, I don't want to piss you off.
You're going to listen.